You are listening to Level Up Your Gaming Podcast, episode 87, Action Economy in Games. Today we talk about action economy in your game. We discuss how easy it is to tip this action economy out of balance. We also discuss why you may fudge or modify your action economy based on different situations. Dragori Games, a company that develops RPGs and board games, has reached out to us to bring to your attention their Kickstarter project, Tanares, that ends funding on September 30th. Tanares RPG 5e is a campaign setting and adventure levels 3 to 12. It includes supplemental and unprecedented new options for players. Many legends and idols from the history of RPG are participating in the project, such as Ed Greenwood, Skip Williams, Amy Vorpal, Bruce Naismith, Skyrim's lead designer, and several others. It has raised more than $1.5 million and could soon become one of the most funded 5e projects in the platform's history. Please check out their Kickstarter at kickstarter.com/projects/dragorigames/TanaresRPG. The link for the Kickstarter will be in the show notes. If you'd like to participate in the discussion or leave us feedback, you can contact us at levelupyourgamingpodcast@gmail.com or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/levelupyourgaming. If you like the content and want to hear more of the show, subscribe and will ensure you don't miss an episode. New episodes come out almost every Wednesday. Also, please review, tell a friend about the podcast, or share with your gaming group. Now sit back and enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the Level Up Your Gaming Podcast. My name is Aaron, and on Try 2 here, joining me in person, he passed Econ 101, Jared.
Good day.
Hi, Jared. How are you doing?
I told you I was going to do this.
Yes, you did.
Because today, what is our topic?
We're going to be talking about action economy in games.
Action economies in games. So, to speak about economics, of course, we must be an economist. Or economist. Or however you say it. I don't know how you say it.
All right. Well, that was Jared's best attempt at a British accent.
I thought it was freaking wonderful. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's not terrible. I mean,
It's not terrible.
it's not like how Hugh Laurie does an American accent.
I think you could mistake me for a Brit.
Okay. All right. If you're from the UK, let us know. Can you mistake Jared for a Brit?
By going like this. Just play the first part of the recording a bit. Think everyone would be pleasantly fooled.
Alrighty. Well, you let us know. levelupyourgamingpodcast@gmail.com or facebook.com/levelupyourgaming. I want to know. So
I want to know too, because help me shame him. Yes, help me shame Aaron.
all right. How you doing?
Oh, not bad. Home for the second week in a row.
What?
I know. Get the fuck out.
They let you stay home?
I know. All I have to do is drive to the office and drive home.
You didn't have to get on a plane?
No. And then the funny thing is, somebody asked me, like, is it because of Delta? I'm like, no, it has nothing to do with Delta. I was out in the middle when we were literally locking down states.
Yeah, things were shutting down, and Jared was like, well, I'm on a plane next week, and the week after, and the week after, and the week after. Oh, by the way, I'm staying in a hotel that week, the week after, the week after. So,
yep. It's almost like damn near living in Georgia and D.C.
Yeah, you were.
Could have gotten a driver's license.
I think you open up a bank account in Georgia, couldn't you technically?
Oh, I could
claim
have.
yourself
Totally.
a resident?
Oh, totally. Like, Georgia has, like, oh, you're living in Georgia for more than 3 days? Open a bank account. That's Georgia.
Then you got your made-up family in one of these places.
Oh, Allie makes up the families. I don't make up the families. It's not my made-up family. It's Allie's made-up family.
Made up, yeah.
It is made up. I don't have any families in other states. It's really bad because we just ended up watching this Netflix show called Clickbait. Right? Really good.
Okay.
Great mystery, except for the end. I got a little ticked off at the end. A lot of people are going to love the end. I was not a fan at the end, but
Don't
part
spoil
of
it here.
Okay, shit. Well, then I'm not allowed to say anything unless don't I just have to say spoiler alert?
No, let's not be that guy.
Okay, fine. Then I have nothing to talk about.
All
Let's
right.
actually get back to the topic.
So today we're going to talk about the action economy in games. The reason why we're going to talk about this is because In my time playing D&D, I noticed the action economy absolutely blows.
Dive into what an action economy is, I think. Let's open up with the definition a little bit.
Sure. Okay, so the action economy is how combat and how turn order play out. Okay? So in D&D, your action allows you to do three things. You get to move up to your movement. You may attack, or you can dash. You can do some other things in the game. They're kind of effective actions. And then there's also side actions that are separate, like bonus actions you can do. They vary depending on what you are. What your class is. Some classes get bonuses to be able to do different bonus actions, and there's some special skills, but a lot of them are like social soliloquy and things like that.
That's registered in there. You need to have a special skill to yell at somebody.
Yeah, there's some other one. I forgot about the.
So you're telling me every basic rifleman in the United States military has a very special skill of called yelling while shooting. Anthony has that skill down packed.
I'm totally botching what the bonus action is actually. So like when I was a bard, there is a skill called Healing Word. Healing Word I can take as a bonus action to heal someone, but it's special.
Sorry.
Okay.
Bard spells are always fun to me. They're always just give me a little giggle.
So, but in White Wolf, everybody just gets one action,
right?
And turn runs through in one action. And then I'm playing in a 7th Sea game right now. The action economy there is crazy because it's based off of a skill called, or based off one of your base traits called Panache. Okay.
Panache, you say?
Yes. And so the number of panache you have is the number of dice you get to roll, and what you roll on a 1d10 there is the order in which you walk through 1 through 10. Those dice will order out how you get to act in a single round. So the more panache you have, the more actions you get in a single turn.
Okay.
It's almost like celerity in Vampire.
Yeah.
Or Rage in Werewolf.
Yeah. Sounds like that sounds like something that like I would definitely invest in that gaming system. I want more actions.
There's 5 traits in that game. So it's pretty clever. It's very clever system.
Mm-hmm.
But that being aside from the topic here, so the problem is that in D&D, if you are overwhelmed by a number of creatures, if you aren't balanced in the encounter against a certain number of creatures, it's very quick that the action economy turns against you. This kind of comes in the mass combat situation. And you can't do very much. The other thing, too, is that in D&D, like, there's a lot of things that involve, like, with spells and stuff, where, like, they give a lot of really good spells, but, like, 90% of them require concentration, so you can only ever use the one spell at a time. And that drives me nuts. But it's very easy for the action economy to flip on you. And, like, if you have to heal that round or, like, drink a potion, like, you have to waste a pretty valuable action, and there's, like, nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. Action economy, so looking at it more from my standpoint as a storyteller, and many years of understanding, trying to feel out my players and figuring it all out. One of the things that you have to look at, the reason that you have to look at action economy is because of the attention span of the human being, the human condition. It's unfortunate that, you know, even though our friends may love our games and we may love them, their attention span isn't always the longest. You know, you look at a general YouTube video, it's 5 minutes. And in that 5 minutes, I'm completely engaged, and I watch it. Advertisements, which they know are kind of going to bore you, but at the same time, they're just hoping to push shit. or take money out of your wallet, so to speak. 20 seconds tops. Hell, YouTube, you can click out in 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom, done. Moving on. Action economy or being aware of your action economy is crucial to keeping your players engaged with one of the major aspects in game. Because Aaron and I have talked about it a lot. How you should have at least one good fight every 2 sessions.
And the problem with that fight is that fights take a long time. We've talked about it several times. Combat is going to take your longest amount of time for the least amount of actual in-game spent time. Pass through. Like, most fights are resolved in 30 seconds, even though they take an hour to play out at the table as you walk around the table. And that drives me insane. It also it bores the crap out of your players. It's something you have to be really, really careful with. And when you have the action economy, part of the problem with the action economy in D&D is that one of the actions that's really key is the ability to disengage your target. So if you're a mage, for example, if I do not take the disengage action and I try to run away from the attack range of the ogre in front of me, the ogre gets an opportunity attack on me if I don't disengage. So I can cast a spell, or I can disengage, or I can just kind of take my chances and see if the ogre is going to whack me and murder me. Both ways, I end up actually in the world of, does the ogre attack me and murder me? Okay, so it's just really hard to spend some of those actions because certain actions are better than others in a combat.
Yeah, and you look at D&D, you got your healer. He spends his entire freaking session healing people if they don't have a high enough, DC? AR? AR.
In D&D, healing sucks. I don't know why you would.
I played a healer for a year.
It is horribly flawed in D&D.
Yeah. I don't think that. Granted, I played a person who's a true healer. I didn't like violence. My character did not like violence. Even when we got up, and it was horrible because I was crewed with a group of bloodthirsty mercenaries, and there I was the guy that if there was the truest villain, and he was running away, and I pulled my pistol, I'd be halt and turn. You're under arrest by the power of the law compelled in me. He wouldn't hurt anybody. He would literally, he was a good guy in a group of bloodthirsty mercenaries, which commonly led to moral conundrums.
So one of the other good ways to express the flaw in the D&D action economy that you don't get in the White Wolf economy is your DC is a good example of this. One of the actions you can take as an action in D&D on your turn is the dodge action. Okay, and the dodge action gives you gives the attacker disadvantage on attack, meaning that they roll 2 dice, 2 20-sided dice, and they take the lower of the 2. So it's a huge swing. It's a 5-point swing if you play out the math on it. Mm-hmm. So it's take whatever you're going to roll minus 5, which means that typically if you're going to roll a crit, you probably get a 15. Okay, and if you roll a 10, it's a 5. It works out in your favor. In that direction.
But I spend the entire combat dodging.
But now I'm stuck dodging to get a better outcome for what I have. And in White Wolf, you have effectively a passive dodge that just works. I have Dex plus athletics contested against your Dex plus firearms. Dex plus brawl. Whatever you're going to do there, whenever you attack me, I reflexively can dodge. Okay? and I don't get that in D&D. I get that by dint of my DC, but I don't get the better dodge as a result. And so if I am really, really squishy, or if you have an unbalanced group, meaning like you have one guy who's got a DC of 24, and you've got the next highest DC is 17, okay? Again, we talked about this mismatch before.
We have, and it's something that storytellers have to address.
Yeah, we talked about this mismatch before, and now you have... I am now crippled in terms of what I can do if you go after me. And you're the storyteller. You know who has what. Meaning, like, I'm going to pick on Tom. Tom's got that low DC, and I'm just going to keep attacking Tom. Forcing Tom to be useless in this combat.
We're not gonna because I could go on for hours about how to actually attack your players in a way that's meaningful, or a way that is best for everyone involved, best results. But that would be off topic technically. So I'm working on it. But your defense, really what it comes down to, or one of the things that it comes down to, is how your players enjoy combat. Do your players enjoy sitting around and really enjoy it, right? Going, okay, Mike is going to get in the front. He's going to tank with his shield. Tom is going to get behind Mike, and he's going to attack with his sword. Mike is always going to use his whatever tanking ability. Alfred is... I'm going to just use Batman names from now on because, like, that's easier for me to remember. Alfred is always going to be healing, far out of the combat range. And then, Dick is always going to be there, out of the combat range, firing or using his ranged attack. And if they like sitting down and strategizing like this and doing the math, you know what I mean? Because the people who like MMORPGs, you know what I mean? Like they build parties based on this, and they're like, remember to buff me ×2 on our second action. Like they do this kind of stuff, and they enjoy it, and God bless them.
But that's sort of what you get in D&D is you have that. It's a very strategy based game. It's like you're playing chess, but everybody's playing their own chess piece. It's not one person doing it.
Yeah, and honestly, if that's what your table enjoys, get down with your bad self. Sparkle in a little bit of descriptive every now and then. If your table is always sitting around, if you're the one who enjoys hitting the math, and the rest of your table is sitting around going, and there's an obvious indicator. Are your players good at this chess game called D&D? If they're good at it, they like doing the math. Because they'll get together and they'll be like, okay, move to here, move to forward, front, make sure flank is clear. They'll do that automatically. If your players aren't playing the chess game called D&D, they're not. This isn't the kind of combat they're looking for. If every time you're like 17 harpies and the archer, he's like, I move 4 hexes to the left. The tank is like, I run in the middle of them and try to draw all their fire. The fighter's like, I run after him, I guess. That kind of disorganization tells me they're not into the math game.
Yeah, so I think that's probably where I didn't like the D&D side of things.
Well, I think the storyteller enjoyed a lot of math because you told me he was very fond of like the dice and the systems. The systems.
Yeah, yes and no, but I mean, so again, it was like the chess analogy in D&D is a good one, and it's apt, meaning that everybody gets an action on the board. So, but it's like, you're running through that set of actions, and everybody's playing their own piece, and everybody has to play that piece effectively, perfectly, if you're going to play perfect chess on the other side. It's like playing like the highest skill level chess guy on the other side who knows everything
And has all of the...
and has all the monsters, and you're on this side of the thing doing this. So, like, I mean, if you're gonna play it, here's the problem, and this is why I like White Wolf, and why I think even though the action economy isn't necessarily better, because it's still you get one action per round, okay, is that it's more flexible in terms of perceived like knowledge of the battlefield.
Yes.
Okay, and it's probably how we play that knowledge of the battlefield. And I'm sure if I played in a game of D&D with a different GM or a different group, that I could probably see the fights come through in a way that would just work better. I guess because the problem is
that are more engaging.
They're more engaging. You get to do some, like, the problem is if you are the mage, and mages are glass cannons in D&D, and you are right next, and you are within striking distance.
I like that analogy. They're glass cannons.
Okay, you're in striking distance of the enemy, and you get one serious action. Especially magic users. Magic users get like nothing good. Okay,
Sucks to be them.
Besides being able to do a lot of damage. But if you have to use that action to disengage, to run away, because if I just run away, I'm going to get clubbed by my ogre over here who keeps running up in my face. Like, I understand why you as a GM are doing that. You are trying to neutralize the greatest threat. It makes sense. Okay? But at the same time, my enjoyment of the combat on the other end of this is like, this fucking sucks. I can't do... The only thing I'm ever doing here is disengaging and running away.
Yep. So, in this, I would blame this... Not blame, but I would direct the storyteller to improve his performance based on the fact that this ogre is attacking a human in robes, right? I assume your mage wore robes. Mage robes. Maybe had a staff. Mm-hmm. When he's got a heavily armed... swordsman, I assume, nearby. Which one do you think is more of a threat? You know what I mean? Like, as an ogre, I don't know much about the outside. I assume ogres are not well educated. I guess I am playing on that they're more animalistic, more. Okay.
With the exception of the troll that we kept lighting on fire, and the troll in the very description says the troll will forego everything to stop the person who's lighting him on fire. It literally says that in the description.
Oh shit. Well.
Okay, so that's different. That's a troll though. Okay, but ogres,
I assume
different ball game, and it's just like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just complaining about the story.
Okay,
a
little bit, but here's the thing.
At the same time, like, it just felt like you were wasting turns a lot of the time.
What I wanted to, because here's the thing. In the essentially, what I would ask every storyteller is, one, what are your players seeking? Right? Players come first. Okay? If your whole table is sitting around seeking the math problem, go with it. If your whole table is sitting around waiting for them to hear that they did something heroic, or badass, we ripped the villain in half and the blood spurted everywhere. If that's what they want, give the crowd what they want. At the same accord, you have to give you what you want. And that's when you're planning combat. When you're planning your combat economy, okay? Do you see your combat as that old 1990s chess game where it's like, bloop, 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 as you move pawns? Hold on.
Okay,
hold on. So we're moving pawns,
okay,
right? And we're just going bloop, bloop. Is that how you see combat? And you're like, yes, this is totally what I want. Oh my God, I can't wait to unleash it on my players. Or do you want it to be born identity? Pick up a book, smash him in the face, turn around, smash the other one in the face. Oh my God. You know what I typically do if I want that kind of energy? I take the rule book and I throw it out the window. All of my bad guys tend to get stun rounds after getting hit. Oh my God. Because I want that scene for my players. I want my players to feel like Jason Bourne. You know what I mean? That's what I'm aiming for in that particular scene. So when they hit a guy, they don't hit him back. So it looks like they're getting more actions. It's moving faster. Imagine what you want this combat to be for your players. Do you want it exciting and fast and moving forward? Then you need to spend, I guess, more in the combat economy. You need to add more turns, more fight. And that doesn't necessarily mean more bad guys. But with that economy, when you're adding that speed, if I want to increase the speed of my fight, I've got to decrease the HP of my bad guys. Okay?
That's one thing you have to do. You have to decrease the HP of your bad guys. You have to put forth a reasonable number of bad guys.
Yeah.
In that, if it's one ogre, okay, we can, and there are 5 of us, we get 5 turns every action to dispatch the ogre before the ogre can do serious damage.
To one of you.
To one of you. So the action economy is tilted in our favor.
Yes.
Okay? It's 5 on 5, 5 ogres, 5 people. The action economy is balanced. It's equal.
Mm-hmm. Okay?
Every new ogre I add, because D&D is a system of planning your it's a system of creating encounters. Like I don't even know how you like reasonably
encounter levels and bullshit. I've seen that.
There's all these like challenge levels and stuff, and then what you do is like there are these encounter calculators that you can like put in your players, and it will spit out the right number of challenge levels that you need to have to fight your players. And what ends up happening is that you end up with like, if you need to encounter, like you might have like challenge level 5, a couple of those, and then you have a bunch of challenge level like 2 monsters, but the challenge level 2 monsters are like innumerous. There's like 30 of them, and it's just like, what?
Yeah, I hate to break it to every storyteller that after you've killed like 5 of the same thing, it gets kind of boring unless you're killing them in really freaking cool ways. You know, Jason Bourne picks up a book, knocks somebody out with a book.
And again, go back to the mass combat episode, which is that like to put together the right challenge, you're putting forth like 15 enemies in like one in a speed type thing and trying to keep your players engaged with combat. That's a challenge in and of itself, because now I've got to roll 30 monsters worth of attacks. 30 monsters worth of attacks.
That takes time. That takes so much freaking time. Pool them together. That's what you got to do at that point. You got to pool them together to be like, these 5 get this roll. These 5 get this roll.
And they
or you do what Dungeon DM Dojo does, where they pre-generate their freaking rolls. It's brilliant.
Even if you roll your rolls in advance, you still have 30 monsters that are moving around the map. There are times when you're going to have to run them. Like this one now is flanking you, so now they're at advantage. And like
ditch it.
There's so much shit going on that map then because of this, and it's just like you can easily overwhelm a group of players. Just like I said, like to dodge, if you take that dodge action, it's a -5 dice. Well, if you flank someone, it's +5 on all your dice, pretty much. That's how the math comes out.
If you're sitting around doing more calculations on the, I don't know, gross output of your scorpions, okay, then your players are doing, I don't know, anything, you got something wrong. Okay, ditch all that shit in the trash. I'm gonna say it right now. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna be real. Ditch it. Okay,
and that's why I like the White Wolf action economy, which even though it's 1 action per turn, I can make an encounter threatening with 1 creature, 2 people, 4 people against you. I don't have to completely blow up the action economy to make something challenging for you. There is no calculus to get me to the right encounter that's appropriate for your levels and characters.
See,
and that's the problem, because if I don't put together those challenging things and I give you one per player, then I'm now fighting 5 scorpions. We'll use scorpions in your example here.
Yep.
I'm fighting 5 scorpions, and those 5 scorpions are not strong enough to surmount the characters in front of them or pose any challenge. But again, you come into this question of, is every encounter supposed to be a challenge? And is your action economy supposed to work out most of the time in a combat that you just end up having to fight, weak things? The encounter is quick, visceral, fast, and we move on.
I like
quick, visceral, fast. And when I'm playing 7th Sea, because we can try to convert our D&D game into 7th Sea, try to change it to fix up this action economy problem. We did a little tuning with the 7th Sea system there. The combat was still slow because the rounds take a long time still, and there is still a shit ton of enemies, which is a different problem. But the thing is that in 7th Sea, there are different classifications of enemies. There are brutes who effectively all have 1 hit point, and you can just dispatch like numerous numbers of them. So you can throw swaths of enemies at your players, and they can dispatch the brutes. There are henchmen, which are weaker than villains. They need to take a certain number of wounds to go down. And then there are villains, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But the game is clearly geared in favor and tilted in favor of the players. The players have better...
well, it sounds like a game of swashbuckling, to be perfectly honest, and the swashbucklers should be kicking ass and taking names.
It is swashbuckling. The game actually says swashbuckling action on the front of it.
Why didn't I get invited to swashbuckling action?
But it's a clever...
Why didn't I get invited to swashbuckling action?
It's on Thursday nights. If you really want to be part of swashbuckling.
Oh, fuck no. Thursday night, bitch. I got work at 7 a.m.
Yeah, so all I'm saying is that it fixed the action economy part of it because it was able to tilt these encounters that you have in D&D into the favor of the players. If you're not made up of the right group in D&D, which is you don't have a mage with fireball to dispatch large quantities of low-level enemies, then you got nothing, okay? Like, you literally got nothing, because I can throw 100 scorpions at you, and guess what? They will overrun your players and murk them.
Yeah.
Okay? It doesn't matter what level they are. It will overrun your players and murk them. And you're like, did I just kill level 10 characters with scorpions? And you'd be like, yeah, because you threw 30 of them at the players. And then they all surrounded the players. And so by rules, they all get flanking rules.
By mathematics. Here's my thing, and honestly, everyone can take this as they want to. When it comes to combat, the first thing, like I said, you need to analyze what your players are going for. If your players are literally going for the math, if you notice whenever their hits are like, I hit villain 1, I'm going to hit him with my sword. Okay? That tells me that player, all he wants to do is get to pass the combat. The combat doesn't actually mean much to him other than the experience. Because how the fuck do you hit him? Are you slashing him? Are you trying to decapitate him? Are you trying to, I don't know, it's not called Rochambeau. What's the maneuver when you...
Repose?
No, when you pull the sword out of their hand.
Disarm?
You're trying to disarm them. There's a term for it. It starts with an R, and it's not Rochambeau because that's a game.
It's not Rochambeau. I was thinking repose, which is you're deflecting it, but I think... Or no, is it repose where you deflect and then you attack?
I don't know, but either way...
Let us know. levelupyourgaming@gmail.com, facebook.com/levelupyourgaming.
Let us know what the hell a disarm maneuver in fencing's called. So the thing is if that player is telling me, what are they communicating to you when they're making hits like that? When a player, when Bruce says, I hit villain 1 with my sword, and then Dick is like, I want to, take my saber and run him through as hard as I can using all of my strength. He's going for narrative. Okay? He wants to feel the blood on his face. Right? Player Alfred, he's kind of in between. He's going more for the narrative, or you need to listen to how your players are engaging this combat and act accordingly. Okay? With Bruce, give him narrative back to see if he wants that narrative back. To see if he's gonna respond to the narrative. Maybe Bruce just needs to be encouraged, to get down with his bad self. Start getting creative with his actions. Maybe all you have to do is look at Bruce and say, Bruce, tell me how you're hitting him with the sword. Maybe Bruce doesn't know how to describe, and he goes, I don't know, and he throws his hand in the air in a slashing motion. You're like, oh, a slash. You're going to slash him? Awesome. All right, you slash him and you cut open the buckler and his sword falls and he drops to his knees and collapses at your feet. I've taught Bruce, I've welcomed him into the world of narrative fighting, and I'm going to see how he responds to that. I'm going to look into his eyes, I'm going to see his smile. Is there a smile going on? If he's just like, okie doke. Okay, that tells me maybe Bruce isn't into that, but what else is Bruce into? And then we go back to spotlight moments, knowing your players, KYP, blah, 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 blah. So once you've figured that out, right, then you need to start looking into taking the rules and what they're all meant to do, and the mathematics and the algebraic equations, and even in White Wolf, I'm going two-handed, so I need to slash my dice pool in half. And
the double action in White Wolf is insane.
It's insane. Well, even half their firearms rules, I freaking hate. Fully automatic is a difficulty 9. Are you freaking kidding me?
It's a difficulty 9.
I've gone rock and roll on an M4. It wasn't that hard to control. Was I as accurate? No, but if I'm 3 feet away from a target with an M4 and I go on rock and roll, it's probably going to end that thing real quick. I'm telling you, even if I miss 3 out of the 30-round magazine, that's still 27 rounds hitting target.
Yeah, their whole system is a little bit flawed in that.
I'm about to erase you from the census, okay? All right? The next thing that villain's going to see are pearly white gates. All right? So there are rules in every system that you're going to find that don't agree with you or don't agree with the situation. And what you have to do as a storyteller is control your economy. Okay? You can't let the economy control you. This isn't laissez-faire. All right? You have to control your economy like everyone has to control their money. Your money... Okay, I'm going on a Dave Ramsey rant right there. Your money does not control you. Sorry, in case anyone's wondering what Dave Ramsey is, it's part of a financial budgeting program that my wife and I do. We very, very strongly encourage it to anyone who's struggling financially. Not that we're on the edge or anything like that, but we want to be better, smarter, and have what's the phrase that he always says? Retire with dignity. That's what we want. We want to retire with dignity. So Dave Ramsey, look it up if you're having financial troubles. Trust me, you will really enjoy it. So back to this, you have to control your economy. Okay, take that rule book, throw it out the goddamn window. All right, and run your scene. Control your narrative. Do you really think a freaking director is sitting around going, well, according to Hitchcock's 4th freaking rule, I can't have an angle of over... Because Hitchcock was all about cameras, I've heard. He was all about, okay, there's a certain angle that you got to have the camera on when someone goes, or has a shocked expression, so the camera has to be at 37 degrees. No director's doing that. He's looking through the lens of where his camera... Or now it's a bank of TVs. He's looking at his bank of TVs and going, that shot right there... 31, capture it. I want it. 38, I want it. This is what I assume directors do. We can, if it isn't, go ahead, Aaron, level up our gaming podcast. Or I could just ask my fucking brother who works right next to the director. But take control of it. Mold it into what you want and what your players want. Do they want fast, dirty, explosive combat? Give it to them. And make it fast and make it dirty. If you're worried about stumbling all over your words, like even I do, okay? I've been doing this for 20 plus years. I still stumble over my words. I'm still like, you hit him in the body armor and you see his shoulder, and I repeat with my ands. Guess what? My players, and they might care that I stumble over the word, but what I'm giving them is the satisfaction of success. Their hit home, right? Be damned the rules. Damn the pants. It's a White Wolf joke. Don't worry about it. Look up Nuisha, all right? If you're wondering about that, Nuisha, White Wolf, damn the pants. Okay? But you've got to control that economy. If your players are sitting around going, we love doing the fucking math, okay, and that's something that you actually like doing too, then you know what? Turn your game into an algebraic party of epic proportions. God bless. Get down with your bad selves. You know what I mean? If you fucking hate doing algebra, but the rest of your group, find a way that they do the algebra for you. Like all of us try to find a way for Brian to do our math homework for us. Maybe because he ended up getting his PhD in math. But, you know, I mean, find a way that works, that the constant, the combat is flowing, or if it's strategic and methodical and slow. But that's what your players like. Find a pace of the river that everyone's enjoying the ride. Some people like to canoe, you know, very slowly. And on your left-hand side, you'll see a small beaver dam. And they fucking love that. I'm the guy who likes seeing the beaver dam and going, tell me more about beavers. Okay? And there's some people who are like those rowers out in the Olympics, just trying to get their ass across, right? Find the flow that works for your team and makes combat. Now, what I would recommend is always make sure that combat is always pushing forward. Why? Even if you have mathematical people that like doing the math, combat should always be a little bit stressful because the rest of your game shouldn't be as stressful. You know what I mean? It should just, you know, maybe they like doing the math of spells too, but like, let's make combat a little different. Let's make combat like you only get 39 seconds to finish your equation. You know, put a timer on it. Whatever works for you and your group. But make sure that your combat is hitting home for everyone at the table.
Boom.
And I just kind of started off on a rant.
You
take that fucking book and throw it out the goddamn window.
You got anything else you want to add to this? I don't think
no,
so.
I'm out of gas now. I'm ready to take a nap.
All right. Well, anyways, that's a little bit of our thoughts on action economy in games. Go ahead and let us know your thoughts on it. Again, I kind of just was using this as, I guess I kind of use this more as a rant session against D&D. And, you know, it's probably not, you know, I probably just had a bad experience in regards to it.
It sounds like you have a storyteller who still needs to level up his gaming.
Yeah, so go ahead and let us know your thoughts on it. It did kind of move into some of the combat realms. You know, we never do anything quite on topic, but level up your gaming podcast at gmail.com or facebook.com/levelupyourgaming. You can also find us on YouTube. So
take a spear and ram it through the heart of that like button.
Excellent. And you can go ahead and review us on your favorite podcast site. That would really help us out. Or go ahead and just spread this word of mouth. Friends, players, GMs, other people who want to learn how to GM, maybe a GM that you want to become a better GM. Just, you know, go ahead and spread the word. But anyways, it's going to wrap us up for this week. So for Jared, I'm Aaron. Have a great week, everyone.
Have a great week, everyone.